Okay, let's unpack this. Think for a moment about anything you use daily, your phone, that online banking service, even, just ordering coffee on an app.
Mm-hmm.
Behind every single one of those interactions, there's this incredibly complex, often hidden network. Suppliers, partners, technologies.
Right, it's vast.
And here's the kicker. Where there's a network, there's risk. So today, we're diving deep into the hidden currents of supply chain cybersecurity. How vulnerabilities can lurk in really unexpected places, far beyond what you might first see.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how the digital supply chain, while making everything faster, more efficient, it's also created completely new layers of vulnerability.
Yeah.
We're talking threats that don't just hit one company. They can ripple right through an entire system, impacting whole industries, maybe even critical infrastructure.
Wow.
Organizations, really, regardless of size or sector, are just increasingly vulnerable if they don't look beyond their immediate partners. The old ways, perimeter defense, it's just not enough anymore.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to sort of distill the critical insights from, a whole stack of sources, articles, research reports, even regulatory guidance. We want to help you truly understand and hopefully manage supply chain and third-party risks. We'll look especially at that often overlooked fourth-party layer and the role of new regulations and tech. By the end, you should feel, genuinely equipped to tackle this. It's evolving fast.
It really is.
Okay, let's start with some jargon busting. These terms get thrown around a lot, sometimes interchangeably. Third-party risk management, TPRM, and supply chain risk management, SCRM. What's the actual difference here? Why does it matter?
It's a really crucial distinction and, often misunderstood. TPRM fundamentally focuses on your direct relationships, your vendors, your immediate first-layer suppliers.
The companies you actually sign contracts with.
Exactly. Think of it as vetting those companies you directly engage with. The focus is often heavily on cybersecurity due diligence before you bring them on board. You're asking, are they secure? Do they have good controls? Can they protect our data? It's about managing the risks coming directly from your vendors.
And then SCRM takes that much, much further.
Precisely. SCRM adopts a much broader kind of end-to-end view of the entire supply chain. It goes way beyond just those direct third-party relationships to include what we call nth parties.
Nth parties, so like fourth, fifth.
Fourth, fifth, even further down the chain. And importantly, it's not just about cyber risks. Cyber is a huge piece, of course, but SCRM also covers a wider range of things. Operational risks, geopolitical factors, disrupting logistics, even ESG risks, environmental, social governance.
Right. That makes sense. It's the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, we saw a great discussion on Reddit, actually, highlighting this exact point. It noted TPRM is often very cyber-focused, maybe into the CRAO, while SCRM often involves operational risk managers looking at that bigger systemic picture, the potential for disruption, reputational damage. It's just much broader with SCRM.
And that broader view, especially of the nth parties, brings us straight to something that, should probably keep us up at night. Fourth-party risk. What exactly is a fourth party and why is it such a critical blind spot?
Well, put simply, fourth parties are the subcontractors or vendors that your third-party vendors rely on.
Ah,
okay.
So the vendor's vendor.
Exactly. And they're critical because they often end up having access to sensitive data or systems that originated with you, the first party. But you might not even know they exist. They become this potential, often unmonitored, weak link.
Can you give an example?
Sure, a common one.
Yeah.
Think of a large bank. They outsource their core IT infrastructure management to a big, reputable third-party IT service provider.
Okay, standard practice.
Right. Now, that third-party provider, maybe to optimize costs or for specific tech, subcontracts its data storage to a fourth-party cloud provider.
I see where this is going. The bank trusts its IT vendor, but that vendor is trusting someone else, this cloud provider, who now indirectly holds the bank's sensitive customer data.
Precisely. Now, what happens if that fourth-party cloud provider gets breached or has a major outage?
It hits the bank directly.
Directly impacts the original financial institution.
Right.
Even though the bank had no contract, maybe no direct knowledge of them, suddenly customer data is compromised, services might go down, all because of a vulnerability several layers removed.
Wow.
So connecting it back, your security, it's truly only as strong as the weakest link in that entire extended chain, not just your direct partners.
And the challenge then is identifying all these hidden players.
It's huge. Effectively managing this means you ideally need to identify and, crucially, continuously monitor every single entity in your supply chain. including these deeper layers, it's a massive undertaking.
And it's not just about knowing anymore, is it? It's increasingly about regulations. What used to be maybe good practice is now becoming mandatory.
That's a really significant shift we're seeing. One of the biggest drivers, especially in financial services, is the Digital Operational Resilience Act, or DORA, from the EU.
DORA, right. Heard a lot about that.
It becomes mandatory January 2025. And its core focus is squarely on minimizing third-party ICT risk to boost resilience across the whole financial system. DORA explicitly requires financial firms to manage risks from third parties, and yes, even fourth parties, because, like we just discussed, one failure down the chain can cause systemic problems.
So what does DORA actually demand? Practically speaking, what do institutions need to do?
Well, DORA brings in several key requirements. They really change the game. First, firms must maintain a detailed register of information. Think of it as a living map of all their ICT vendor connections, crucially including those nth parties, not just a static list.
Okay, mapping the whole chain.
Then, they need to conduct really thorough due diligence when picking providers, assess their resilience, and continuously monitor their performance and security throughout the contract.
Continuously, not just once a year.
Exactly. And third, contracts themselves need specific clauses covering security controls, incident reporting, audit rights. It's about baking resilience right into the relationships, contractually. For organizations needing help navigating this, especially understanding DORA's demands, resources like those at www.gdpriso.com can be incredibly useful for mapping out compliance strategies.
That's a major change, especially the continuous monitoring and contractual bits. But I wonder, is there a risk that this becomes just another compliance headache, especially for smaller firms, without really boosting security?
That's a fair question. The intent is definitely to raise the bar for everyone. But yes, for smaller organizations with fewer resources, DORA can feel like a heavy lift, compliance-wise. But the goal isn't just checkboxes. It's about pushing a mindset shift from reactive to proactive resilience. And it's not just DORA. Other regulators are reinforcing this too, even if they don't explicitly say fourth-party vendors. Guidance from bodies like the FFIEC and NCUA in the U.S., for example. They emphasize that risks definitely extend beyond direct relationships. Financial institutions are ultimately accountable for risks introduced by their vendors and their subcontractors.
So you have to make sure your vendors are watching their vendors.
Exactly. You need robust programs to ensure your direct vendors are overseeing their own supply chain. Which leads to the tricky question. How do you ensure they're doing their part when you don't have direct oversight?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It sounds like this goes beyond just compliance, then. It's about building a fundamentally more resilient security posture overall.
Precisely. And that's where strong frameworks come into play, like the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, CSF 2.0.
NIST. Always a benchmark.
Right. NIST CSF offers a really systematic, practical process for what they call CSCRM, Cybersecurity Supply Chain Risk Management. It helps organizations become, in their words, smart acquirers and suppliers of technology, meaning they can effectively assess and mitigate risks from their vendors and also ensure they aren't introducing risks to their customers. It's a two-way street. The framework even has a specific category, GVSC, just for CSCRM outcomes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it provides detailed checklists for setting up a CSCRM capability. Everything from creating a strategy, identifying critical suppliers, defining roles, responsibilities, security requirements, the whole life cycle. It's about being integrated and proactive, not just reacting after something happens.
Okay, so given all this complexity, the hidden parties, the regulations, the need for continuous oversight, it seems pretty clear that traditional risk management methods have limitations. What are the biggest challenges organizations are still running into?
Well, one persistent and honestly increasingly difficult challenge is that, unfortunately, people remain the weakest link.
The human element.
Always.
Yeah.
Human error, clicking a bad link.
Yeah.
Misconfiguring something, it's still a primary way attackers get in. And what's really alarming now is how generative AI is supercharging social engineering.
Like phishing emails getting much better.
Much better. We're seeing AI craft, highly personalized, grammatically perfect phishing emails, even realistic audio and visual deepfakes. It makes it incredibly hard for anyone to spot what's real and what's fake. It's like the attackers have leveled up significantly.
Like Terry stuff. What else?
Another big one is over-reliance on single providers for critical functions. We call it concentration risk.
Right, putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. If that one critical provider has a disruption, a cyber attack, a natural disaster, even financial trouble can cause systemic failure for all their customers. We've seen that happen.
And it seems like even when companies try to assess their vendors, the methods themselves are flawed. I saw a report saying many professionals just don't trust those questionnaire-based assessments anymore.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting. That report revealed a, frankly, shocking disconnect.
Go on.
Get this. 81% of vendors claim perfect compliance based on these self-assessment questionnaires. 81%.
Okay. Sounds high.
But only 14% of the third-party risk professionals reviewing them are highly confident in those claims.
Wow. That's a huge gap.
It's massive. Think about that. It points to a fundamental flaw in how so many companies assess risk, relying just on self-attestation for something this critical. It's like asking a student if they cheated and just taking their word for it.
Right. Not exactly rigorous.
It highlights this critical need to move beyond static, tick-box exercises towards more objective, data-driven approaches. You need verification.
So if the old ways are falling short, how are technology and new strategies stepping up? What's changing?
Well, we're seeing a really important shift towards what's called integrated risk management, or IRM.
IRM.
It's a more holistic, dynamic approach.
Yeah.
It recognizes that all these risks, operational, cyber, compliance, financial, they're all interconnected. You can't silo them. IRM aims for a performance-first mindset, not just compliance.
Performance first.
Meaning it helps organizations make better, faster decisions and react quickly to market shifts or new threats. It's about being able to operate effectively, whatever happens, by seeing that bigger risk picture.
So moving from just reacting to alerts to actually having proactive insight, that sounds like it would totally change how risk teams work. How does tech enable that?
It's all about real-time risk intelligence and continuous monitoring. This is the big leap. Traditional audits, static risk stores, they're reactive. They tell you about problems after they've happened.
Looking in the rearview mirror.
Exactly. Modern solutions are built for proactive, real-time insights. You have companies like Panarrays, Gainfront, Risk Methods. They offer automated tools that continuously monitor vendor performance and risk exposure.
How do they do that?
These systems aren't passive. They actively track KPIs, they perform ongoing security assessments, scanning for new vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, and they shoot off immediate alerts if they detect changes in a vendor security posture, or say if a new threat emerges that affects them.
So you get that early warning before something potentially blows up. That's the game changer, right? You mentioned explainable AI-grounded risk visibility earlier. What's that about?
Precisely. It helps avoid costly mistakes, leads to much faster incident response. One report even found companies using these automated workflows were 48% faster in responding and cut supply disruption losses by up to 30%. Huge numbers.
Wow.
And explainable. AI-grounded risk visibility means the AI isn't just a black box flagging a risk, it tells you why.
Okay, context.
Yeah, it provides the rationale. Maybe it connects a vendor's software update to a newly disclosed vulnerability, or links a geopolitical event to a supplier's operational stability, or spots a regulatory issue. The AI gives you the context, the evidence, so you understand why it's critical and, crucially, what you need to do about it.
That's powerful.
And these systems are even embedding this AI analysis right into sourcing and onboarding, screening suppliers for red flags.
Okay, that's a huge leap forward on the tech side. But what about the human side? How do we ensure collaboration and not just, throw tech at the problem?
That's absolutely crucial. Technology is an enabler, not the whole solution. Yeah. Alongside tech, strategic contracts and collaborative management are vital.
Meaning?
It means embedding strong security controls, clear incident reporting duties, and solid audit rights right into your contracts and SLAs. But it's more than just legal language.
It's about the relationship.
Exactly. Fostering open communication. Proactively sharing threat intelligence with your key vendors. Involving them in your security training, even doing joint scenario planning or incident response drills together.
Ah, interesting. Practicing together.
Yeah. It creates shared responsibility for resilience. It builds a much stronger, more adaptive ecosystem. And having solid foundations for this, like clear policies and documented controls, the kind of thing you can structure using resources like baseline.compliancehub.wiki, makes that collaboration much more effective. It's about partnership, not just policing your vendors.
So wrapping up our deep dive today then, we've covered a lot of ground. The key difference between TPRM and SCRM.
The broad versus direct view.
The growing, often hidden danger of fourth-party risk.
Yeah, ripple effect.
The big regulatory push, like DORA, demanding more resilience.
Compliance is mandatory now.
And finally, this crucial shift towards integrated, real-time, tech-driven solutions, but also collaboration. It's definitely a complex landscape.
It is. But, ultimately, in this super interconnected world we live in, The biggest risk isn't really disruption itself. Stuff happens. The biggest risk is failing to see it coming or not understanding its full impact.
Right. Being blindsided.
Exactly. Understanding your entire supply chain, all those hidden currents, those nested layers, and then using technology to get those real-time explainable insights. That empowers you not just to survive the constant change, but actually to thrive in it. It's about building this robust, adaptive defense that goes way beyond your own four walls.
Well, we hope this deep dive has sparked some aha moments for you and maybe provided a clearer roadmap for navigating these hidden currents in our global supply chains. We definitely encourage you to think about your own organization or areas you're interested in. Where might these hidden risks be lurking? And how could you apply some of these ideas to build a more resilient future?